Hello, what's up YouTube? Ronix with it and Natural, and in this tutorial we want to give an attempt to retouching this very image. It looks complex, but I trust and guarantee that it's going to be the simplest image you're going to be seeing me retouch from my tutorials on this channel. So let's kick in and start retouching this very image. So first of all, the more complex part about retouching this image is going to be about the removal of blemishes. So for the removal of the blemishes, you're going to be using the patch tool and the clone stamp tool in order to clean up the skin and to remove the blemishes from this very image. So first of all, we're going to create a new layer out of the background by hitting Ctrl or Command J on the keyboard, and you're going to come to the patch tool. So the patch tool is going to be doing an awesome method or step for you guys. So let's start cleaning up the blemishes. So how this works, you select a skin, an area, you left click, select a skin and move to a clean area to replace that specific area of the blemish. So I'm basically going to be doing this for all the bumpiness and the blemishes in this very image. So let's just clean up this. So later on, I want to remove a majority of the blemishes. Then I'll go to the image where I already removed the blemishes so that we can not spend a long time watching this tutorial, because I just don't want this to be a tutorial where I do most of the talking. So I just want to clean up the blemishes so that you can see the very first step for cleaning up or removing blemishes from this very portrait in this image. So let's just clean this up. You can see the patch tool really retains the textures and it really gives you the best results, I should say. So you should learn to use the patch tool. So how I am using this patch tool, I'm basically left clicking and drawing maybe a shape around the blemish, then still left clicking and moving that blemish to an area that kind of looks cleaner than the place where the blemish was, to replace it. So I'm just going to come. You really have to take your time, because for such images the blemish removal is going to be like contributing over 80% to the overall retouched image. So make sure you take your time with the blemish removal or cleaning up the image in general. So I think that looks fine. I hope you can see the progress, because I'm just going to show you guys the before and after so far for the blemishes we have been able to remove. Before after. So we're just going to be doing this quick. So I want to remove majority of the blemishes so that when I reach to the image where I removed majority of the blemishes, you don't look at this as a magic. So that's why I want to show you guys that it is really possible to clean up or remove blemishes from this particular image, and you'll end up having nice results from this specific image. So let's just select and continue cleaning up or removing blemishes from this particular portrait. So I think we are doing a really nice and a really amazing job. So you have to take your time. So for the very first step for blemish removal, we are using the patch tool. Then later on, after our skin retouching, using frequency separation, because I don't think I'm not saying it is possible, but I don't think you can get nice results using micro dodging and burning for such an image. I think it can even take you like hours, if not a whole day, trying to retouch such an image using micro dodging and burning. That's why I would personally recommend frequency separation for retouching, and cleaning up this very image. So if at all you want nice and fast results that are really look professional enough, so let's just clean up this so I can show you right now where we are. So before after, you can see we have just been able to remove majority of those blemishes, and we can still continue if at all you want me to, but I think we have removed majority of these skin imperfections or blemishes. So you can see that the image really now looks nice and amazing for this particular case. I'm sorry if I told you can hear some noise in the background. So let's just see the before and after for this particular portrait. So I think this is the before after. So you have to keep on removing these blemishes up to that particular point when most of them are really and completely lost from the image. So you can see the patch tool is really doing a quick and amazing job. You can as well use the clone stamp tool, and those interested in learning how to remove blemishes, particularly in or from your images, I have a tutorial about how to remove blemishes while explaining the functions of each and every tool in just Photoshop. So you can see, so I've removed majority of the blemishes. So I'm just going to go to the image where I have completely removed the blemishes from the image, and the image is just right here. So let's see what we are going to be achieving in this tutorial. So you can see the that was initially the before and the after, before after. So I'm going to delete these two layers, and I'm going to delete them. Sorry about that. So I only want to delete the frequency separation layer, and this is my layer where I have completely removed majority of the blemishes. So we just have some tiny blemishes right here. So let me just clean up this so that we can jump into the skin retouching. And remember, when we do skin retouching, we are going to distort the shape of the model's face. That's why we are going to be doing dodging and burning to bring back the shape or dimension to the model's face in this particular image. So I think this is really nice and decent. So just clean up these tiny blemishes. I think that looks okay for me. So just clean up this. I think I've removed majority of the blemishes from this image before after. So after doing this, let's do the frequency separation. So we're going to create two layers by hitting Ctrl or Command J, and since this is an 8-bit image, we're going to come and name this low frequency, and we're going to name the upper layer high frequency, just like that, and hit enter. So we're going to turn this off. We're going to turn the high layer off and select the low frequency layer. Come to filter, come to blur, and come to Gaussian blur. So we want to blur out the textures from this very image. So we're going to start moving up to a point when majority of these blemishes start disappearing from this very image. So just move up to that particular point when these blemishes are getting lost. I think at around 8 we have lost out on the details or the blemishes in the skin. So just come and hit OK. Then come to the high frequency layer and now select it. Then come to image and come to apply image. So since it is an 8-bit image, I've already done retouching for it. So come and select the low frequency layer. Then blending mode, change it to subtract. Opacity 100. Preserve transparency at 0, at not checked rather, and the mask is not checked. Scale is 2, offset 128. Make sure invert is not checked. And now come and hit OK, and you're going to notice that the textures are on this gray kind of layer. Come and change the blending mode rather from normal to linear light, just like that. So we're going to put these two in a group by hitting Ctrl or Command G on the keyboard. So Command G to put these two in a group, and you're going to name this frequency separation. And after doing so, you're going to open the frequency separation group, and you're going to come and select the high frequency layer and get a help tool, which is the black and white layer, and now just darken it slightly to see those imperfect skin tones. So you just want to harmonize and blend those skin tones in this image. So we're going to select the low frequency layer since it contains the colors and the skin tones in this particular case. Then come and select the mixer brush tool, and in order to set it up, make sure it is a clean brush. Select the second option because we want Photoshop to automatically clean the brush for us after each and every stroke so that we don't carry color from one area to another. Wetness is 9, load 75, mix 90, and the flow 100%. Make sure sample all layers is not checked or marked because we only want to work with the tones which are embedded in the low frequency layer. So increase on the size of the mixer brush tool by using the brackets on the keyboard and start blending. So make sure you blend the highlights alone, the midtones alone, and the shadows alone in this particular image. So you're trying to get rid of the bumpiness in the skin tones or the unevenness in the skin tones of this particular image. So let's just do this. So you can as well turn this off if at all you're not seeing where you're blending really nice and well. And when you reach an area where you're not seeing the uneven skin tones quite well, you can as well turn this back on and continue evening out the skin tones or the colors in this particular portrait. So just make sure you blend, and as you're blending, make sure you don't overblend a particular area for a long time because it is going to be doubling this wetness effect right there. So make sure you just do the blending nice and really easy. So just do this. I think we are almost getting there. So remember, we also have to fine tune the areas we have not blended using the mixer brush tool. So make sure you stick around so that we can also learn about that. So turn this off if at all you feel like you're being distracted and you can no longer see the uneven skin tones quite well. So I think we are doing a really nice and decent job right here on this image. So we're going to come to the nose area and you're just going to even out the tones. But as you're blending the skin tones, make sure you just left click and move over the tones in the image. So let's see the before and after. Before, after, before, after. We still have the textures embedded, and that means we are on the right track for retouching this particular portrait. So I think we are almost getting there, and you really have to be patient and you don't have to rush through the retouching process rather, and don't leave any area unretouched. So that is the motto for every retoucher out there: leave no part of the skin unretouched. So let's just blend that right there. So let's zoom out and we see the progress so far. So before, after, so we're going to get our lasso tool and you're going to harmonize these colors even more and fine-tuning the areas we may have missed out when we're using the mixer brush tool to even out the skin tones in this particular image. So let's just blend the neck area, and we are going to call it a wrap for the mixer brush tool. So come and select the lasso tool. This time around we're going to be using a feathering of around 14 pixels, and you're going to start selecting areas of the skin. Still on the low frequency layer, come and make a shape or selection on the face, just like that, and come to filter, and come to blur, and come to Gaussian blur. And when it does this, make sure you start moving this up to a point when you feel like you're getting the right skin textures in your images. So I think let's just move it. I think at around 24.7 we are fine and good to go. So we want to apply the settings to the overall image. So we're just going to make a shape, right click, and come to Gaussian blur. And if at all you feel that the effect is too much, simply click shift or press shift command F or shift control F to reduce on the opacity of that effect in a particular area. So I think we are doing a really nice job. So let's just apply the effect, right click and come to Gaussian blur, and just come and apply it right here too. Right click and come to Gaussian blur. I think that looks fine and nice. So you're going to apply the effect to the overall skin, and when we're done doing so, we are going to now come back to our clone stamp tool and remove and clean up rather the skin even more, because we still have some blemishes that are embedded to the model skin. So we just want to do some cleaning up for those stubborn blemishes that may have remained in this particular image. So right click and come to Gaussian blur. So I feel like we haven't blended here quite well, and just come and hit Gaussian blur. I think this really looks nice. So let's see the before and after so far for our progress. So this is the before after for the skin retouching. So you're going to get our clone stamp tool, and now select the high frequency layer since it contains the skin textures, and blemishes are part of the textures, and you're going to clean up the image even more. So hold down the alternate key and click on a clean area and just paint over the blemish that you want to remove. So you're basically going to do that for just a little touch up on the blemishes that may have remained in this particular portrait. So I'm basically holding down the left click. So you hold down and left click over the blemish and get rid of it. So alternate, you click on a clean area and release both the alternate and click over the blemish to get rid of it or remove it from the image. So let's just clean up these tiny white heads right on the nose area. So make sure you just clean those up, and after this you're going to be doing some little bit of dodging and burning to add shape or dimension to the model's face, and we shall call it a wrap for this very tutorial. So make sure you stick around and learn about how you can make this image look three-dimensional, because right now this image looks really flat, I should say, because of the skin retouching that has been like really intense. And remember, we flattened it while still removing the blemishes using the patch tool in the very first part of this tutorial. So just stick around and we are going to clean up this image and add that shape or nice dimension So let's just clean this up, and I think in a minute or less we are going to be done with the removal of the blemishes. So if at all you're removing blemishes for your professional work, make sure you really take your time. I'm just trying to rush through this process because I don't want this to be a long and boring tutorial where I'm doing like so much of the talking. So I just want you guys to know what we are doing and what we are basically trying to aim at in this very tutorial. So let's just clean this up. So within a minute or less we are going to be done with the removal of the final blemishes from this very image. So let's just come right here and just clean up these tiny blemishes or skin imperfections from this very image. So I'm using the clone stamp tool to clean up or remove the blemishes from this very image. So come right these areas that have the hairs and try to remove those imperfections within the colors and the skin tones so that we can have a nice clean image from this very tutorial. I'm sorry, I really like forwarding anything from my tutorials. If at all you are watching from my channel for the very first time, so make sure you really watch if at all you want to learn everything from all my tutorials. So we are almost done with the blemish removal, and after the blemish removal you're going to be adding shape or dimension to the model's face, and that will be all for today's tutorial. So stick around for just a few minutes if at all you want to learn about uh, dodging and burning, a technique that is going to help you uh, perfect or add that kind of three-dimensional look to the images you retouch in Photoshop. I think we are almost done with the blemishes. I think that is almost all. So let's just clean up these prominent pores right here. So you can see the progress. It is really nice and gradual, and we are not trying to rush through the skin retouching process, or rather the overall retouching process of this particular image. So let's zoom out and see what we have done. So you have to keep on zooming in and out to see if at all you still have no stone left unturned. So we are almost done, I should say. So we have removed the blemishes from this image, and now the next step is going to be adding a shape or dimension to this portrait. So in order to add shape or dimension, we're going to be using dodging and burning and using the curves adjustment layer to brighten and darken particular parts of the image. Remember, dodging and burning is more of enhancing the highlights and the shadows in a particular image. So you can see for the skin retouching, this is the image before, after, and the overall progress, the before and the after, before, after. So we want to add shape or dimension to this particular image, and in order to do that, we're going to delete the black and white layer and close the frequency separation group. So come to the curves adjustment layers, and now first of all you're going to make a midpoint, click, and now darken. So this is going to be our burn layer. So we're going to hit Ctrl Command I to hide the effect, name that burn, And we're going to do the same for the dodge. Make a midpoint and now brighten up. So make sure the white mask is selected. Hit Ctrl or Command I to hide the effect. We're going to name that dodge, and we're going to put these two in a group. Command G, and we're going to name that group D and B for dodge and burn. So we're going to open this up, and after doing so, we're going to come to this, and you're going to basically turn off the retouching process or the frequency separation group, and come to the brushes and select a soft round brush. So make sure you get a soft round brush, hardness at 0. Opacity, we're going to be using an opacity of around 9%. And make sure white is on the foreground. So just click on these two to get, or X on the keyboard to get white on top. And now the brush is set up. First of all, we want to burn. So we want to paint over the areas that had shadows in this particular image, and for this case we just want to contour this area. So just going to come and paint over, just going to come and contour that area. So turn back the FS, and now you can just come and contour even more to add shape or dimension to the model's face, because the image was initially a flat one. So you can see the before and after for our dodging. So just come and contour, because you just want some shape added to the model's face. So we are now going to do the same for the highlights, and come to the chin and dodge there. Then come right here, and we're going to just enhance those areas just like that. Then you're going to come to the nose area, and you're going to dodge there too. So I think we didn't burn this area of the nose, so we're just going to come and burn that area. So you can see a before and after for our dodging and burning. I hope you can see how nice and beautiful and the shape or dimension we have been able to add to this image. So you can see a before after for the overall skin retouching and dodging and burning for this very image. So this has been a story about how to do skin retouching in Photoshop. And if at all you love this story, don't forget to like this video, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If at all you have watched from this channel for the very first time, I'm Ronix from Ronix Photography. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in yet more tutorials on this channel. Don't forget to keep practicing and keep creating if at all you want to be a good retoucher out there, and I'll see you in yet another one.